5 weeks ago, I took the decision to start focusing more on my arm training, and I want to see what my new measurements are today. So starting off with my left arm, previously my left has been bigger than my right. So in this video, I want to share with you guys what I learned during those 5 weeks, what changes did I make, and what am I doing now for my arms. For years, my arms have been lacking in size, mainly because I was too attached to powerlifting dogma, and that held me back from a bodybuilding standpoint. If you're in this situation as well and you want to grow your arms, in this video I will show you what I currently do for my arms specifically. So what changes did I make? So right off the bat, I want to say that during this 5-week period, I started enjoying arm training a lot, and that was kind of to be expected because arms, duh. I actually modified my split a bit from what I was doing when I started, and now I basically have 2 arm days per week. I just reorganized everything in a way that suits me the best. So now I do legs, then chest plus back, and finally arms plus shoulders. And I do this twice a week. So it would obviously be 2 dedicated arm days in total. Why did I do this? Because I didn't want my arm work to impact my chest and back, and I want to still be able to focus on my arms. So previously I was doing upper lower arms, and during my upper days I was starting with arms and then followed by chest and back. That still works, but I just prefer to do them separately. So what I basically did was to spread the work between 6 days instead of 5, and now my workouts are much shorter and I'm able to just get in, do my work fast and get out of the gym. What this also helped with was that I was able to focus better on everything during workouts, because mentally it was taxing knowing that I had to do all that work in a single workout, and obviously by the end of the workout I was not able to give my 100% on everything. So that was the biggest change that I did. Another thing that I did was to make the preacher curl my go-to bicep builder. And so I decided to start both of my arm workouts with a preacher curl variation. So about the standing barbell curls, I was doing those since I first started lifting, and I wanted to try something different but quite similar. And so I started doing strict straight bar curls with back support. I also did this because I wasn't feeling satisfied with my execution. When approaching failure, I would start using my front delts a lot more than I should, and I felt like I wasn't able to reach true bicep failure on those because I could keep on grinding rep after rep and using less and less of my biceps and more of my back and shoulders, and this is my fault obviously. Cheating reps at the end of the set isn't a bad thing, but I wanted to try something different. I'm not saying this cannot be corrected, but making small modifications like having a wall behind my back and me focusing on keeping my back and butt glued to the wall just made the lift much more stable and easier to reach through bicep failure. And it's just better for progression to do it that way because I have a way of standardizing my technique and limit the amount of work from assisting muscles. Another thing that I did was to remove spider curls from my split and add dumbbell preacher curls. I'm still experimenting with those at the moment. I kinda jumped more on the lengthened side of exercises, but with these I'm able to limit how much of a stretch I'm getting by having the dumbbells touch the bench before my arm is completely straight. I never had any issues with my tendons, but I chose this to give my tendons time to adapt and become stronger in that lengthened position. And so on day 1, I'll do those with dumbbells and limit the stretch And on a second day, I'll do them with an easy bar with full stretch and be mindful of the weights I'm using and slowly build up to bigger weights. About spider curls, I just thought they feel awkward for me and the stimulus wasn't that great. I much prefer strict barbell curls for the medium to short and biased work. Now, from a frequency standpoint, it's quite simple and this seems to work for now, so I'll stick to twice a week. About my proximity to failure, I usually reach muscular failure on my last set on all exercises, and for the other sets I will keep maybe 1 to 2 reps in reserve, but sometimes I will go to failure on all sets. What I would normally do is lengthen partials after I've reached failure on a normal set to go beyond failure. This is just something I like doing and it feels good. It feels like an accomplishment and it drives more muscle growth as well. So I would say I have a pretty good proximity to failure. Another approach that I used is to go to failure on my second and third set, and I keep my first set within 1 to 2 reps shy of failure to properly warm up before pushing harder. From a volume standpoint, volume is something that I'm still experimenting with. My recovery seems just right at the moment, so my volume for the biceps and triceps will be 12 sets for both and 6 sets for forearms. These are all direct working sets, so not counting compounds. If I had to guess, my volume will go down in the future, but for now it seems to work great. About the range of motion, for all lifts, I will go for a full range of motion approach, as this is what I like, what works for me, what I've been doing from the beginning, and what got me the most progress. There's not enough conclusive research that lengthened partials can replace full ROM sets. The bulk of the research that I've seen is around full ROM approach. Not that this is what I base my execution on, but I just wanted to throw this in here. If I'd want to see which way of training is better, I would need to replace full ROM sets with lengthened partials and see for myself. I would not base my conclusion on just research. But for now, full ROM all the way, mainly because it's much easier to track progress and the rep quality stays consistent. How do I decide if an exercise is good or not, or if it's worth putting it into my routine? I will touch on a couple of points here. Number one, it needs to be fun and enjoyable to do because that keeps me motivated and keeps me training constantly, which, as we know, is very important for progress. I finally get to enjoy more every workout that I do because I decide what to do and how to do it. Before, I was influenced by other people's biases so much that I would not even want to train because I was hating everything that I was doing. Just because someone said, you must do this, you must do that, because they did that, doesn't mean we should all train the same. Number two, must feel good doing. So we all have certain exercises that when we start doing, we mean business. Those are the exercises that suit you well. They're usually the exercises that got you the most growth and the exercises that make you feel masculine or feminine. They're usually the exercises that you're willing to drive hard when performing. For example, one of my favorite exercises that feels good is the barbell wrist curls on the bench, arm wrestling style. Number three would be stability. I recently started to focus more on higher stability exercises. They're just better for muscle growth because you put yourself in a position in which you can drive hard and you're able to actually target the muscle that you want to target a lot better. For example, having elbow support while training biceps will assure that there will be less cheating and will put the muscle in a disadvantageous position, which we want anyway for muscle growth. So we don't want to make things easier. Another good example is doing incline bench press with a barbell. While this has more stability than using dumbbells, you can make it even more stable if you use a Smith machine. Whenever I had the chance to bench on a Smith, I would completely destroy my chest. It allows you to force the movement into the exact pattern that you want. Getting stronger usually means that other muscles will have to contribute more in order to help you finish the rep, for example, on bench press. That's why I think using machines or exercises that offer good stability, even if they are free weights, they can be modified to be more stable. Last example on this, since I've been doing easy bar overhead tricep extensions using the backrest of my bench, now I'm able to target the long head of the triceps much better because it will be mainly triceps being used. When I was doing it freestanding, I would do some kind of weird pressing and extension thingy, and I almost wanted to remove this exercise from my split, but then I realized I can just use back support for extra stability, and it totally changed how the exercise felt. Another aspect of having good stability, and this will be another point connected with stability, is that it reduces fatigue associated with doing everything freestanding or using free weights. It doesn't matter that much, but if you train hard, you will notice this. Number 4 will be ease of setup. This is a bit overrated because I don't care if it takes 5 minutes to do a setup for an amazing exercise. I am willing to do it. For people in a hurry, probably this is not as good, but if you're serious about lifting and want to make good progress, you need to do everything that you can to have the best results. So it doesn't bother me too much as long as the setup is worth it. But if you're bringing, 2 chairs and another person to add weights to your lap while doing chair dips, that's probably not worth it and you're better off doing something else. Number 5, the exercises need to be progressible and have a way of making it harder for the muscles over time. This is very important for me because I log everything. You should do it too. And if an exercise doesn't allow me to make progress, that's probably not a very good exercise. For example, I can't understand how some people can do thousands of bodyweight crunches for years without making any progress. It's because they don't treat abs as a normal muscle group. It's so easy to grab a dumbbell and position it behind your neck and overload the movement like for every other muscle group. Number 6, the exercises need to allow you to push hard and put you in a good position in which you can grind to failure. These are usually the exercises that are stable because they allow the target muscle to be the limiting factor. Number 7, the exercises need to allow me to do them in my small home gym setup. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So the way you want to go about this, if you are already intermediate, you should know what you like, what works for you, and therefore you should go to the gym that has the necessary equipment. For example, if I was to pay for a gym membership, I would require at least a Smith machine, a leg curl, leg extension, GHD machine chest press, a pulley system, a place to do pull-ups, and to have all the barbells and dumbbells, benches, and some form of cardio. But luckily, most gyms have all of this already. Next big topic is what I do specifically for each lift. And with this occasion, I will also share my arm split for you, as promised. I will exclude the shoulder exercises that I do on my arm days, because this is a video about growing bigger arms. So first arm day looks something like this. Dumbbell preacher curls. I will do 3 sets in the 12 to 14 rep range. This exercise is good for people that don't have access to a regular preacher curl machine. So if you train at home and only have an adjustable bench and some dumbbells, it's gonna be great. This will not be as stable as the barbell variation, so make sure you don't lean to the sides with your forearm. As I said previously, I chose this variation instead of doing the barbell variation twice in order to give my tendons time to become stronger by limiting the amount of stretch I get in the bottom. For this lift, I try not to lean over to the sides and leave my elbow in the center. For those of you that have wrist pain from using barbells, this will be a good option. Dual rope pushdowns. I will do 3 sets in the 13 to 15 rep range. I got this lift from John Meadows because I was looking for a way of training my long head of the triceps, and I must say it's amazing. Using 2 ropes allows you to have more shoulder extension with your arms by your torso, and the contractions are crazy. I like to have a short pause when fully extended and come all the way up without coming forward with my elbows. Going slow on the eccentric on those will have tons of tension on the muscle, especially in the lengthened portion of the range of motion, and I really like performing lengthened partials on this lift after I cannot fully extend anymore, even though neither this and nor the straight bar pushdowns are lengthen biased. The way you should perform lengthened partials is to actually try to lift the weight as you would normally, even if you obviously cannot anymore, and do not stop prematurely just because they are called partials. Next exercise will be incline curls. I will do 3 sets in the 10 to 12 rep range. I use a 60-degree incline on my bench for those, and I like to keep my arms facing sideways and my elbows locked close to my body. Even though this is not as stable as a preacher curl, I still like it a lot, and the feeling on the biceps is amazing compared to other exercises. I like to keep my chest up. You can get a very good stretch on the biceps, and I feel I can drive very hard with this exercise to failure. This exercise will not be the hardest at the bottom, where your biceps will be in the stretch position, but it becomes harder coming up, reaching peak resistance when you have your forearms parallel to the ground. The final exercise of my first arm day will be dumbbell skull crushers. Yeah, the good old skull crushers. I like using dumbbells because I can simply go lower and have a deeper elbow flexion when compared to barbells. There's actually a small trick I'm doing to be able to go lower. I grab the handle of the dumbbells by the side that's the closest to my shoulders in order to increase range of motion. I like having my elbows locked in on those and don't bring my arms too far back, because my aim with those is to have more tension at the bottom in the stretched position. I know you cannot completely isolate different heads of the triceps, but at least I try to bias my lateral head. This is also not as stable as using an easy bar, but I still like them more, and they can be pretty stable either way. And for the second arm day, starting off with easy bar preacher curls, I would do 3 sets in the 10 to 12 range. This has become my bread and butter lift for growing bigger biceps because it has basically no drawbacks, at least for me. I know I mentioned previously that feeling your muscle working is not so important, but I definitely feel my biceps on those. I keep a close grip and extend all the way down in a controlled manner. They're very stable movement, and they're the hardest at the bottom in the lengthened portion of the movement, and that's what makes them so great. I suggest taking time with this exercise in order to develop tendon strength, especially if you're someone that you've had issues before. What I like a lot about this exercise is that it's very hard to cheat on, and it maintains good tension on the biceps throughout the entire movement. Second exercise will be strict barbell curls. I will do 3 sets in the 10 to 12 range. I spoke about those in the beginning. Next is straight bar tricep pushdowns. I will do 3 sets in the 10 to 12 range. I've been doing this since forever and I still enjoy it. I attribute 70% of my triceps growth to this exercise from when I was doing mainly compounds and arms at the end of the session. This exercise kept my triceps afloat with the rest of my body. There are better ways you can do those, for example, seated, facing the other way of the pulley, like basement bodybuilding likes to do. But I cannot do them that way because I don't have a long enough steel cable for my little pulley system. I might make one just to see how they feel. One big downside with those is that when you get stronger, you will notice it will be very difficult to keep the bar in place because it will tend to lift you up. To prevent this, just do the incline push downs if you have the required equipment. With those, I like to keep my elbows close to my torso, extend all the way down and come back slowly as I do with the dual rope push downs. Slow eccentric is key for adequate tension while approaching failure. Doing those with a straight bar will allow you to use more weight because it's more stable than ropes, and also having the bar deeper into your palm will have a leverage advantage. A rope will be closer to your fingers and have less leverage. And finally, I do easy overhead extensions with back support. 3 sets in the 12 to 14 range. I integrated this exercise in my split for the long head of the triceps, and I've only been doing them with back support recently, and I must say the extra stability from having back support made this exercise amazing. The key to this exercise is to have as much shoulder flexion as you can and bring the bar as low as you can into flexion to have a good stretch. Controlling the eccentric will put tremendous tension on the triceps when approaching failure. I actually see many people pressing the bar up with a weird shoulder and elbow movement, and this is not optimal for the triceps. The hardest part of this exercise is when the forearms are parallel to the ground, so around the middle of the rep. I like using a close grip on the bar and slightly flare my elbows to the sides. I think that's the most natural position for this movement, at least for me. Using an easy bar is better than using a dumbbell, mainly because dumbbells can get very bulky once you get stronger, and it can hit the backrest, and it's pretty uncomfortable, I must say. As for forearms, I do my forearm work with the chest and back upper days. First exercise and my favorite overall mass builder is the barbell wrist curl done arm wrestling style. I will do 3 sets in the 10 to 12 range. I like this because it just feels amazing. The pump is unreal and the pain is excruciating. I learned this exercise from looking at Schoolboy, the arm wrestler, and when I tried it out, I really liked it. I don't have any wrist issues, and so I'm able to use the straight bar. The way I position is I have my elbows as close together as possible to compensate for the supination that occurs during wrist flexion, and that will align the hands with the bar. Another way you can compensate for the supination is to have a wider grip on the bar. Also, having my forearms on the bench will make the move very stable, and I'm able to drive to failure on those pretty easily. In my opinion, this exercise has a big overloading capability. What's also great about this is how easy you can get into position even when the barbell is very heavy, and you can just start curling. And the second exercise will be the reverse grip curls with an easy bar. I will do 3 sets in the 12 to 14 range. Initially, I was doing wrist extensions and hammer curls, but I decided to replace them with reverse grip curls. I do those thumbless, just feel better for me that way, and use chalk to make sure my grip doesn't fail. This exercise will complement your forearm development, and in order to have a complete full look, I suggest doing some form of wrist extension and wrist flexion. Training your brachioradialis will also help with preventing elbow tendonitis. This is my approach for working my arms. They might not be the best exercises, but it's what I do and what my equipment allows me to do. If I had more equipment, my approach would be a bit different. Let's see where we stand now. So the road to 18-inch arms continues, and let me know if you're interested in having this journey documented. That was it for this video. I hope you liked it. Thank you for your support and see you in the next video.